In my shop, doors are made with through mortise and tenon joints, typical of classic 18th century procedure. So I was quite curious about the joinery seen on our new kitchen cabinets. I wanted the classic look of an 18th century or Shaker door, and that was achieved, albeit with joints very unfamiliar to me. Here's a top view of the joint in a door with a glass front. And if we look at the back side, there's a groove established for a plastic stop that holds the glass in place. There's also the rabbet for the glass. Here's one of the doors that is almost ready to be installed in the finished cabinet in our kitchen. And looking down on that door from the top view, here's a picture of it. I'll remove this trace over group and you can see the top of the stile and the shape of that joint as it meets the rail. Quite unusual shaping there. Now, I was very much interested then in creating that joint in SketchUp, and here's the finished product, and I'll show you how I did that with first having a face that is the full frame size of the door. So starting out with a rectangle that is the outside perimeter of the door. And with this tool I can create the width of the rail and stiles, which is 2 1/4 inch, but the bottom rail is larger, is 1 inch larger, 3 1/4 inches wide, and that's typical of classic design in doors. Let me delete that center panel and give the frame a thickness which is 13/16 inches. Okay, close the group. I made that a group, and I'm going to bring a cutter that was made using that trace over of the picture. Here's what that cutter looks like. Let me pull it up so you can see the full size of that cutter. And this is used then to create the grooving and the shaping in the interior edge of the frame. I've exploded it and turned it into a group so I don't lose my component for the cutter, and bring it over and place it in the corner. And I need a path for the cutter. Just use the rectangle tool to show the proper path for the cutter, and then select the path and choose Follow Me and edit the group and click, and I've got a component or a group that's cut out in the inner perimeter. I'll use solid tools then to intersect the two groups and click on one group and then click on the second group. I used the split function in the solid tools, and bringing out the frame that I want with the inner edges cut and shaped just like the joint that I showed earlier. But I need the coping cut as well on the end of the rails. So I'll bring the opposite shape and use it as a cutter, make it a group, and then push-pull through the length of the, I'll go past the bottom edge here, close the group, and again use solid tools to intersect these two groups. Picking the split tool, click on the one group and then click on the second group, and I should be able to pull away a style that is shaped properly. I can delete that little piece down there, and I've cut the end of the, I've coped the rails as well on one end. The style is okay, except let's soften the edges here. Get rid of those extra lines. That looks better. Okay, I need to cope the other end of the rails, so I'll use that same cutter, coping cutter, but I need to reverse that, mirror it on the red axis, connect it at the corner, change it to a group, and push-pull down through the style and the rails, and then intersect with solid tools again. I'll use the split tool, and if you don't have solid tools, then you're faced with having to do a lot of cleanup that can be done, but it's more tedious than this method. And let's see if the rails are coped on each end. Yes. And I can delete the parts that I don't need and turn these groups into components, rails, and styles, and connect them to a final assembly. And also add the glass and the doorknobs, etc.